Let's read a fun little fairy tale called Town Mouse, Country Mouse. How's everybody doing? You like stories about mice? Well, this is a good one. Town Mouse, Country Mouse. Town Mouse jumped up and down with delight. He had just received a letter from his cousin who lived in the country. "Why don't you come and stay with me for a while?" Country Mouse wrote. "My cottage is on the edge of a field and I would love to show it to you." "That's just what I need," Town Mouse said. "A rest in the country. Think of all that lovely food I'll be able to eat. Fresh apples, homemade pies. His mouth watered at the thought of it and his tail twitched with anticipation. Without wasting a moment, he threw a few things into a small suitcase and set off toward the country. There he is with this suitcase going off to the country. And look at how cute this is. It has a little hole for him, for the Town Mouse. Town Mouse left the smooth city streets behind him as he walked out into the countryside. He sniffed the clear, fresh air. "My goodness," he said to himself, "this certainly is the life." With a contented sigh, he sat down on a nearby rock. "Get off me at once!" cried an angry voice as a tortoise popped its head out of its shell. "Who do you think you are?" "Oh dear," said Town Mouse as he scampered off. "I do beg your pardon. I see there will be a few things I will have to get used to in the country." Town Mouse was very weary when he finally arrived at his cousin's cottage. "Welcome," said Country Mouse, who was very pleased to see him. "Come inside and rest. I am just setting the table for dinner." Country Mouse's home was warm and cozy, and Town Mouse soon forgot how tired he was. He sank into a comfortable chair. Hungry from his long walk, he dreamed of hearty country food like blackberry pies and steaming hot bread. See, he's taking a little nap. Country Mouse's whiskers twitched with pride as he prepared the evening meal. He'd been saving up the dried peas and an apple core especially for his city cousin. How pleased Town Mouse would be to eat good country food. Town Mouse's face fell when he saw what was for dinner. He tried not to think of all the delicious food he would be eating at home. "Is this your usual meal?" he asked Town Mouse politely. "Well, the apple core is rather special, but I knew you would be hungry after your journey," replied Country Mouse. After dinner, the two mice sat chatting happily for some time, catching up on some family news. Town Mouse wondered what lay beyond the field. "Let's go for a walk in the forest, Country Mouse. A walk in the moonlight will help you sleep suggested Country Mouse. "A walk in the moonlight will help you sleep soundly, but there can be dangers in the country, so stay close to me." Town Mouse soon forgot how tired he was as they set off across the field. He watched the frogs in the moonlight and listened to the crickets with delight. Suddenly there was a loud whoosh. Town Mouse shivered with fright. What do you think it was? "Just keep very still," whispered Country Mouse. "It's only that big brown owl looking for his supper. If we don't move, she won't see us." Town Mouse froze to the spot until the dark shape had flown away. Then he turned and ran as fast as he could. He didn't stop to watch the frogs or listen to the crickets. He didn't stop until he had reached the safety of Country Mouse's cottage. "Oh dear," panted Town Mouse, "there are so many new things I have to get used to in the country." The next morning, Country Mouse was up early, cleaning his cottage and collecting corn and berries for breakfast. Town Mouse's stomach grumbled as he thought about the honey-drenched toast and crispy cereal he would have been eating if he were at home. "What lovely berries," he said, not wanting to hurt his cousin's feelings. "Well, let's go and gather some more for lunch," said Country Mouse, grabbing his basket. As the two mice made their way across the field and through the farmyard, Town Mouse listened to the clucking of the chickens and watched the baby ducks as they waddled through the river. Suddenly, there was a loud moo. What was it? Town Mouse looked into the two biggest, brownest eyes he'd ever seen. He didn't wait for his country cousin. He turned around and ran as fast as he could back to the little cottage on the edge of the field. "I'll never get used to your way of life in the country," said Town Mouse. "Now that I have seen your home," he said to his cousin who had just arrived back, "why don't you come to town with me and see how I live?" Country Mouse's tail flickered with excitement. He quickly packed his bag, and together the two mice set off. The mice soon left the rough country roads and walked on down to the smooth city streets. Country Mouse wondered at the huge buildings and admired the smooth pavements. Suddenly there was a loud vroom. A big red car whizzed past the two mice, its tires hissing and its headlights blazing. "Just stay on the pavement near me and don't stop near the road," said Town Mouse. "You'll soon get used to the traffic." Country Mouse shivered. How could anyone get used to these screeching monsters? With his heart beating fast, Country Mouse ran after Town Mouse, down one lane and up another until they finally arrived at a large house. "This is where I live," said Town Mouse proudly, showing his cousin his home. "Come and I'll show you the pantry. If we're lucky, there'll be a rich, dark chocolate cake." "I've never eaten chocolate cake," thought Country Mouse. "I'm sure it's just one of the things I will have to get used to living in town." Town Mouse led Country Mouse out into a big room. Their paws sank in the thick carpet. They scuttled under a door and into a place filled with the most delicious smells. Country Mouse had never seen such food. There was indeed a rich chocolate cake and crunchy salted crackers and a tantalizing custard slice. Country Mouse flicked his whiskers over a particular juicy piece of cheese. Suddenly, there was a loud twang! "Watch out!" shouted Town Mouse as he pulled his cousin aside. "Haven't you ever seen a mousetrap before?" Suddenly, No, never," trembled Country Mouse. "We don't have anything like that in the country." And he sat down until he had recovered a little. Suddenly the pantry door was flung open and in walked the biggest pair of brown shoes Country Mouse had ever seen. "Quick, we've got to run," whispered Town Mouse. "If he sees us, there will be trouble." The two mice zipped past the shoes, back across the soft carpet, and into Town Mouse's home. "Don't worry," said Town Mouse. "We'll go back to the pantry tonight and have a real feast." Country Mouse wasn't at all sure he wanted to risk the pantry again. He thought longingly of his succulent berries and munchy peas and apple core. But by midnight his tummy was rumbling, so the two mice set out again in search of a feast. Country Mouse ran from one delicious treat to the next, not knowing where to begin. Suddenly, there was a loud meow. Country Mouse froze to the spot. A large black and white cat seemed to fill the pantry. His claws sparkled and his teeth snapped. "I'll never get used to your life in town," trembled Country Mouse, and he took off just as the cat swiped a paw at him. Country Mouse ran and ran and ran out into the street, past the huge buildings, and down the smooth city streets. He didn't stop running until he felt the rough country road under his feet. And here's the moral of this story. There's no place like home. Do you see both of the mice are in their place that they liked the very best?